Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Still with you and this morning's edition of The Breakfast Show. And as promised earlier, a very interesting topic we have in store for you, the latest with regards to tourism in Egypt. And recently, the British Express chose Egypt as one of the most popular and safe touristic destinations all around the world, which is greatly favored by many British tourists and visitors from all over Europe. Now, to shed more light on this issue, we're most delighted to be joined over the telephone this morning by our guest, Dr. Yehya Abdul, Qader, our tourism expert. Dr. Yehya, very good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for joining us. And let me start by telling you, Doctor, very good news for Egypt on the tourism front. And recently we've seen many newspapers and travel magazines choosing Egypt, as amongst one of the most safe and attractive tourist destinations worldwide. Tell me a bit about some of the reasons behind these choices, sir.
Oh, well, Egypt, the British publication, like the Express, ranked Egypt, and promoted this to its audiences as a perfect destination for UK travelers, really for a variety of reasons. Number one, it's classified as a safe destination on a global scale, for tourist destinations worldwide. And this is, of course, the true statistics. And number two, Egypt is an affordable trip, and a vacation location for UK travelers. And because of the high and uprising cost of living in most European countries now, so a trip to Egypt is value for money, where, visitors can have an extended stay.
How do such, reports affect the flow of tourism to Egypt, notably from, the European continent as a whole, not just for British tourists?
Well, really, Egypt, of course, is, a fashion destination, because we have seen, last week's, the Time magazine, it has, the pyramids of Egypt on the Giza Plateau at its cover, and recommending, audiences and reviewers to visit Egypt as a must-see destination. We have the National Geographic issues, we have the CNN, the TripAdvisor. So, world media, because the recent developments, we've been opening 5 museums in the past 3 years. So this is adding to the cultural value, and because of the feedback of the visitors when they come to Egypt and they enjoy, their tours and programs, and they admit now it's like value for money, they extended and they enjoy their stay in Egypt.
Indeed. Now, we've seen Egypt over the years really diversifying its tourism. We've moved a lot into different domains, moving from the traditional, ancient Egyptian or cultural tourism to other, and of course beach tourism, to other domains like health tourism, sports tourism, conference tourism, ecotourism. How has religious tourism as well, how has the diversification of the kinds of tourism available in Egypt changed and affected the kind of people that are keen to come visit Egypt?
Yeah, really, we are so fortunate because of the diversity and the colorful, of our heritage and antiquities, and past history and contemporary one as well. Just for example, yesterday it was the opening of the Ramesses II Museum exhibition in Paris, and there was over 160, participants came and booked, for the tour, and the exhibit is going to go on for 6 months until next September, inshallah.
Yes, and it's going to move as well after that to the United States and Australia.
Well, just came back from Houston and San Francisco, the Young Museum,
Yes.
Yeah, quite right. It started in 2021. So really, exhibitions, and Egypt participates in international travel shows, like the one is the ITB in Berlin, the World Travel Market, in UK, and the Arab Travel Market in Dubai. So, all these activities, is creating, positive feedback for Egypt, and many people worldwide, they like to visit it maybe once and twice, and we have the diversity, and for example, we'll be having for the first time 16 direct flights from Spanish, cities, direct to Abu Simbel Airport, coming from Madrid, Barcelona, Andalusia, Granada. So these are direct flights from Spain to Abu Simbel Temple. So this is, of course, a great accessibility for Egyptian travel destination.
Indeed. Now, Dr. Yehya, also, religious tourism has featured highly amongst the kinds of tourism in Egypt, whether it's Islamic or Christian. And we've seen lots of visitors coming our way for specifically religious tourism, visiting all the famous Islamic and Christian sites all around Egypt. And we've also seen an influx of Asian tourists specifically interested in this kind of tourism. Tell me a bit more about, how this is attractive and it appeals to these kinds of tourists.
Yes, because, like of the historical background, like of Egypt, like as a safe haven, like for religions, and prophets and believers. So Egypt was, like a safe haven for the Holy Family, like Virgin Mary and the young Jesus Christ. And they spent around 4 years in Egypt, and they visited and they spotted at least, they stayed in 25 locations, like all the way from Palestine, up to, like Upper Egypt and Asyut. So the Egyptian government has been working tirelessly over the 10 past years, like to upgrade these locations. And now we have a great influx, like of visitors. I was in the Gulf, and I met, like visitors from India, and say we have heritage in Egypt. I told him, what heritage? He said that was the Holy Family itinerary, like. So you have lots of visitors worldwide. They come for the Holy Family itinerary in its footsteps. And then we have, like in Egypt, we have like Sayyid Zainab, and we have, like Al-Bayt, like Al-Hussein. So many, like Arab and Muslim visitors as well, they like to come. We have sects, like Aga Khan and Al-Buhara. So they have their relics among the Fatimiyad Egypt as well. So it's an extended history over 7,000 years ago. That's why we have a variety of religious tours coming to check on the relics of their identity.
Indeed. Now, Dr. Yehya, speaking about, relics and ancient relics, as well as, of course, the pharaonic kind of ancient tourism, very, very interesting. Lots of keen Egyptologists from all around the world are up to date with all the new discoveries, that Egypt has. Every once in a while, we see a new discovery of whether it's mummies or sarcophagi or different relics from all around, as Egypt is, a treasure island full of these discoveries. How do these new discoveries really affect or influence, people that are interested in this kind of tourism, if they've already visited Egypt, to come and visit again, always to see what new discoveries have been uncovered?
Yeah, this is quite true because, for example, we've been renovating the Greco-Roman Museum in Alexandria for the past 10 years. So it's going to open its doors, like recently, inshallah. So many visitors, they come and they go to Alexandria and they couldn't see it. So they like to come back, like, and enjoy, like all the glamour and the glory of this, like Greco-Roman period, which is was like over 1,000 years. And then, like the excavations we have all over Egypt, like in the Valley of the Kings, in Karnak Temple, in Western Alexandria, and the Oasis, in Tanis, in Saqqara, and Acropolis, like the Giza Plateau. So constantly, like Egypt is a large tract, like of ancient antiquities and history. That's why we have a great number of foreign expeditions, like in Egypt, like German, French, Italian, Japanese. Of course, next to the Egyptian excavation teams and missions. So that's why constantly, like we have new findings, and it casts like new lights on former beliefs that we have. Sometimes it's going to change, like about, like the type of government or the ruler or the type of daily life throughout these ancient times. So it's so attractive and mystique to many visitors and enthusiasts for Egyptian history and hieroglyphic and pharaonic ancient times.
Indeed. Dr. Yehya, you just brought up a very interesting issue, which is that of the Ramses II exhibition, which is opening its doors in Paris, the capital of France, and already over 150,000 tickets have been sold for all the keen, enthusiasts in this regard to go and take a look. How do you see such, traveling exhibitions of Egyptian artifacts, of ancient Egyptian treasures that move from country to country as a sort of marketing tool, and how well received are they in countries around the world?
Yes, this is quite true because, these are the original, antiquities and, artifacts of ancient Egypt. Sometimes they date back to 3,000-4,000 years ago. Last month, in Ohio, Columbus, Ohio, in the U.S., they opened an exhibition for the replica of King Tut, and they have, visitors, sold out for about 6 months.
Yes.
So imagine, the replicas are gathering, all this momentum, and when you see the original thing, that gives, the desire and the will, to go and see the whole extended history of Egypt. When you come and spend 7 days or 10 days doing tours from Abu Simbel to Aswan to Luxor and down the valley until you reach Cairo and Alexandria. So, we have a glamorous and a prestigious history. That's why, museums worldwide, since long time ago, they were acquiring, Egyptian artifacts when it was available and legal at the time. Over 100 museums worldwide, they have Egyptian collections. So they make the audiences and visitors like to come to the mother country and check on the antiquities and artifacts, the original one themselves.
Right. Dr. Yehya Abdul, Qader, our tourism expert, I'd like to thank you very, very much, sir, for your time and for your insight and for joining us on this morning's edition of The Breakfast Show. And to wrap up our tourism sector, Fit Solution expects an increase in the number of tourists coming to Egypt in 2023 and up to 2026 in a way that will be increasing tourism proceeds as well as hotel occupancy rates. We have more details.